Avoir.
All right, welcome back to another episode of FitPet Boston Talks. My name is Leah Lodato, and I am the host of the show. Thank you so much for spending your time listening to us talk about dog-related issues and topics and other lifestyle-related things. I know that our attention is being pulled in a million different directions these days, and it means the world to us that you have decided to share a few moments listening in. If you would be so kind, feel free to like, subscribe, and share the podcast with your friends. It really helps the show get out to more people. So today, I'm with my spouse, Lori.
Hello.
Sorry, I didn't introduce you sooner.
No, that's okay. You gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah. What's been going on, Lori?
Happy Halloween Eve.
Happy Halloween Eve. Well, this is going to go out on Friday, so that'll be November 1st, so Halloween will be over.
They should know when we're doing it.
Yeah, well, it is what it is. This is when we had time to sit down.
What's your favorite Halloween candy?
I love a good mini Snickers bar. Not the really mini ones, like the square ones, but like a mini Snickers bar. How about you?
M&M's all the way.
You're a big Reese's Pieces person, too.
No, M&M's.
No?
They make me feel less guilty.
Oh, why is that? Smaller?
Yes, and I like to organize them into colors.
Oh, okay.
And you can only eat one at a time. I would be horrified if people were just throwing those down the hatch.
Do you think they taste different, the colors?
They don't.
No. Some people say they taste different, and I don't think they do either.
No. I was fighting with the leaves today. I hate the leaves.
Yes.
I'm over it. We falled out. I'm kind of falled out.
Yeah. We're in the stage where the leaves are falling, and it's like pointless to do anything about it because they're just going to be more.
Turn around.
Yep.
There they are.
Your yard is loaded back up with them.
When you're a dog person, you don't have a choice.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're going to be stepping in stuff if you don't clear the leaves. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Can't see shit when the leaves are around.
Nope.
See what I did there?
Landmines.
I know. I'm like, Leah, check your shoes before you walk in the house. Because if anyone's going to step in it.
It's me.
I step in it.
It's sad.
It's disgusting.
Mm-hmm.
Then they get in the crevassiers of your shoe.
Mm-hmm.
And you think you clean it, but you don't.
Mm-hmm.
Then your shoe's wet. Then you have to go to the second shoe in charge, which is a shittier shoe. It's not as comfortable. Everyone knows that.
The B-list shoe. I know. And tomorrow is Halloween. It's supposed to be 80 degrees here in New England. So I don't even know. The trick-or-treaters are just going to go wild. It's always crazy when it's nice weather and the trick-or-treaters are out.
Nobody comes to our house.
Nope. We're lucky in that way. Shh. Don't tell anyone where we live. Knock on wood. Nobody will come tomorrow. I know. We're Scrooge.
Let's just say the walk is too much.
It's too far.
It's too far. It's not worth it for the candy.
Nope. I did want to talk about something specific right off the bat, and I haven't talked to you about it before, so we'll just see how this goes.
Okay. What do they call this? A blind opening?
A blind opening.
I don't know.
So over the past couple of weeks, I have had a couple of phone conversations with dog owners, and by a couple, I can count 5, and all kind of dealing with similar problems, and also a few asking for electric collar training for a recall, because I do that quite a bit with dogs, because that's literally what I do all day is hike in the woods with dogs, and all the dogs that I hike are trained on the electric collar. I think it's a wonderful training tool, and it really helps keep all of my dogs safe because it just gives me that extra reinforcement if I need it in order to call the dogs back to me if there's a distraction. And there's a lot of distractions in the woods, right? There's other people with dogs, there's animals, there's bikers and stuff like that. So it just is a wonderful training tool, and I love using it. But I usually wait until the dog is about 1 before I introduce the collar. And the reason being is because I feel like it just takes a long time for dogs to grow up. And the common theme that was coming up in these conversations I was having with clients or potential clients was like, they were just asking so much of a young dog. And especially if you have some sort of working dog breed, I think it's important to respect how old they are. And if you have a dog that's 1 or younger, like we kind of still consider that dog to be a puppy and giving them too much freedom or being too quick to ditch the long line or wanting to introduce a training tool when the training isn't really there to begin with isn't necessarily the answer. I don't know if you want to talk a little bit more about that too, Lar.
No, I agree with you.
Yep.
I think that every dog trainer knows that it's like everybody wants everything so quick, and with some dogs, it's not going to be that way.
Right.
Whether the dog is a slow learner or the dog doesn't have any food drive, or you're just trying to get the dog not to go to the bathroom in its crate if you have that problem, or maturity of the dog, or even exercise. They want to exercise the shit out of their dog, and the dog is too young, and they shouldn't be having such, like you shouldn't be running on cement with your puppy.
Or even like biking, even if it's not on cement, is just like too much for a young dog.
Yeah. I just feel like, I don't know, everybody wants everything so quickly, and I've been a little discouraged lately.
By what?
I just wish people would. I think that if people looked at dog training a little bit more black and white, I'm not saying you can't praise your dog. People see me with puppies. They see what an idiot I am out there, like making noises, getting the dog to run with me, whatever. But if they just looked at it like very black and white, say what you mean what you say, follow through, wait for the dog to do the behavior. If you're irritated by the dog because they're not getting it very quick, or you're getting confused, or, like sometimes I'll look at a dog and they'll do the wrong thing, and I'll say, what the hell am I doing that's making this wrong? I have to stop. I'll put the dog away and I'll come back and say, okay, how can we go about this again, another way? If I do something the dog's not getting it, I give him a way to decompress. I don't know. That's easy to me. Black and white's very easy to me. I think emotions are a disaster. I'm not the same way with people that I am with dogs.
Right.
So I think I'm having a hard time teaching lately, because I'm like, this is easy. This is black and white. This is, science. It's positive reinforcement. It's adding correction, taking it away, adding positive reinforcement, withholding reinforcement. And for a puppy, that's easy. It's when you start building on the behaviors, it gets harder.
Yes.
But when you're just doing the puppy stuff, it's take them out, go to the bathroom, play with them, train them. Don't let them on the sofa where they bite your face off.
Right.
No. Like if you're telling me that, Buddha's on the sofa with us, our dogs are on the bed or whatever, but they've earned it. I'm not going to have a puppy that's going to climb up on my shoulders, stop biting my hair. If you tell me that, I'm going to say, get the dog off the sofa.
Right.
And I'm really not going to have any other answer, because you're setting your dog up to fail.
Mm-hmm.
So just step by step. And I'll say to people all the time, I'm like, 1, 2, 3. When you think about me, it's 1, 2, 3. It's one step after another. Every single thing has a meaning. Why won't you just, it's like, say, click or say all done, then you feed. Don't reach into your bag. Don't bribe the dog. Like, it's just one step after another. Don't get frazzled. And if you're nice and clear, then these behaviors they come faster.
Right.
So
a couple of things to piggyback off of what you said. A big thing is generalizing the behaviors. And when we say generalize, for example, if you're working on recall with your dog and you have a young dog, you want to work with them in a non-distracting environment, like your own yard or inside your house. Or I like to work in a tennis court. If the dog isn't like running around a lot, it's not really good for them to run around on a tennis court. But if you're just like practicing long line recalls and the dog is wandering around and you're occasionally recalling the dog to you, I think a tennis court is a great spot, or a quiet field, fenced in area, or even a non-fenced in area if you have a long line. It takes a long time and a lot of repetitions to build up the recall so that you have a fast recall that's really reliable, and it's like super clear to the dog. Okay, I hear my name and the command come. I am coming, and I'm coming quickly. And I think that to add distractions to that too quickly it's just going to degrade the behavior, right? So if we think about a young dog, that's the reason why I keep the line on the dog for so long because you taught me to do that until they're 1. And then I'll introduce the e-collar for being off of the leash. And like, there's not like a hard and fast rule for 1 year old, but if you have like a more mature dog or a working dog or a dog that can like work through that pressure, sure, like maybe 10 months. If you have a soft dog or a dog with like low food drive or is just generally like a little bit uneasy, like maybe we're going to push it out a little bit longer so that we can build up the relationship as much as we can before we go adding pressure to the situation. But regardless, like that's 1 year. And I think that when you're living day to day with your dog, it seems like forever. You know, like the most common question that we get usually from men is like, how long is this going to take? And Lori's like over there rolling her eyes because people ask us all the time, like, how long do I have to do this for before I can just treat my puppy like I treated my 12-year-old dog that just died last year?
I know, that's the hard part.
And it's really hard because a lot of these families were living with an older dog for the past 6 years, and the dog was up on the sofa and they didn't chew anything, and they were really well behaved, and they don't even remember training the dog, and they were in a different part of their life when they had that dog. Maybe they were single or they didn't have any kids, and now they have a puppy, and every day seems like a freaking eon when you're raising a puppy because it's just so much work.
Yeah, you don't sleep.
Mm-hmm. And they're just it's not a bridge. It's like it's a slow incline up until they're old enough and mature enough to have the reliability with those behaviors. And then to add on top of it, if you have a working dog, it just gets even more complicated because 2 of the phone conversations I had with people this week, they have like serious working dog breeds. And we have working dogs, and my 2-year-old dog Raven, she has slept outside of her crate like 3 times total since we've had her because she's just like go, go, go all the time. And I think for us, like, it's fine. We're like, all right, we're just crate her at night. Like, there's no way she can be out of the crate right now. But I think for a normal person, that can be kind of a tough pill to swallow.
Yeah, because they want to they want to sleep with the dog right away.
Right.
I mean, some couples are against it, but I don't know. And then the whole thing with if the dog is really ground focused, like anyone who knows Buddha's story, like he used to stick his face into the grass and just pull out just mounds of grass. It was the most unreal thing. So I'll say to people, hey, if your dog's really distracted, we'll work on hard surfaces. We'll work on the pavers. We'll work on cement. We'll work on asphalt. And then they're like, well, that's not where he's always going to be. And I said, I know, but we have to get something going here. We have to have some history of this dog coming to you. And if the grass makes it that much harder, then we're going to work on hard surfaces. And when the obedience gets better, we'll move to grass again, which is exactly what I did with Buddha. I was working on hard surfaces, and then finally we were able to move to the grass. And even then, it was very little amounts of time on the grass. But it's like one thing leads to another. They're all building blocks.
Right.
I wouldn't be telling you something if it wasn't, if it didn't work.
Right.
It's just one step at a time. I know it's torturous because you want the dog to just, be a dog. You want them to just be that perfect, Norman Rockwell picture of the dog that just hangs out and walks all around you and never leaves the yard and listens to every word you say. Like, I want that too.
Never barks at another dog.
It takes forever. It takes forever though to get there.
Mm-hmm.
Once you do, it's great. But if you keep losing like your key things, what you're supposed to do when they're younger, it's going to take you that much longer to get there. So you might as well just do it. I mean, what is so hard about saying all done? I'm like, say sit. Okay, sit. Don't let them get up until you say all done. And if they do, you're just going to guide them right back and make sure that they sit back into the same place they were sitting. Otherwise, you're going to get a dog that keeps moving forward. It's okay to finish behaviors because when food disappears, we need to make sure that they're getting up on all done and not your hand movement or you reaching into your little magic pouch.
Mm-hmm.
Things like that. loose leash walking. It's been really hard for some of my customers, and we're getting through it.
Yeah, we are. I even deal with it a little bit myself. I was bemoaning the way that I had taught Raven to lie down, because that down command for a pet parent is like, okay, the dog just lays down, no big deal. But when you're working on downs for competition, you really want the dog to kind of fold into the down. So their rear end should be a little bit more active.
Ass back.
Ass back, yeah. And the reason, and some dogs just do this naturally, right? They have a very active rear.
Probably a Nicki Minaj song.
Mm-hmm. Oh, God.
Ass back. Woo!
But when I had taught Raven to lie down when she was a puppy, I wasn't very specific about the way that I taught that behavior. And one thing that we say a lot, Lori's saying, is what you click is what you get. So if she lays down kind of moving forward and I clicked that at an early age, that's going to get seared into her brain, right? Real quick. And I was having some serious problems with the down from a distance. So when I would walk away from Raven and I'd ask her to lie down, she would take a few steps forward before she lays down. And I thought to myself, like, she's never going to change this. Like, I am never going to be able to teach her to stay still when she lays down. And Lori knows.
Leah was on a dark path. It was a dark path, and I'm sitting there and I'm trying to be supportive, and I'm listening. And I know that with practice, it would be fixed.
Yeah.
But Leah did not feel that way in the moment.
Oh, I was running around yelling.
I was
not at the dog, like she was away. I was
just like to
so
the skies
mad.
And the heavens. And like you, at one point, what is the point of practice? I'm like, that is literally the point of what we do. It's practicing.
I know, but lo and behold.
We asked back
after a few months of consistency.
It's a beautiful poem, isn't it?
She's doing much better. And is it perfect? Not quite. And we have to proof it in different environments. So just like I was talking earlier about practicing your recalls and making sure that you have them really solid on pavement or a non-distracting surface, then moving to generalize it in the grass or on the trail, I had to practice that one behavior with Raven with different distractions, with different people standing around her, because if we trial, the judge is often standing very close to the dog, and that can be a little bit of pressure for the dog. And if you have a dog like Raven, Raven wants to be near me and has a little bit of trouble taking directions when she's out away from me. Like her reflex is to, if she's unsure, even when we do field work, she wants to come back into me and be like, all right, what do you want me to do here? I'm confused. So that's just her personality to begin with. And I have to now, because she's performing the down well, I have to start adding those distractions. So asking Lori to stand behind her when we do our command discrimination, moving to like a busy shopping center, doing our command discrimination, working out in a different field, adding more distance. And then, it actually makes it better to add more distance because during the competition, you're only 15 feet away from the dog. So if I can proof the behavior at 30 feet away from the dog, I'm going to get a stronger behavior. So generalizing that in different environments with different distractions really help to solidify that behavior. And then adding a little bit of pressure if I need to, or at the very least withholding the reward if she doesn't perform really well. Like we'll always say, if a person recalls a dog and then it needs to use the leash and then the dog veers off to the right, it's like, all right, we're not going to pay that one because it was a poor performance. So deciding which repetitions are worthy of payment and which ones aren't is also an important part of that. And
you can't do that in the beginning. In the beginning, you have, for recalls,
you got to pay.
Yeah, you raise your standards as time goes on, and just keep backing up more if the dog's coming in crooked, or just back up. Be really happy, draw the dog into your body.
Yep, help as much as you can. And that's one of the things that came up as well. I taught a really cool class over the course of the summer and into the fall that was working on off-leash healing for like practical purposes. For example, if your dog's off the leash and you call your dog to you and ask them to heal past a distraction like another person or another dog or something like that. And I said to the people that come to class, like 50% of this is going to be teaching the dog what we're actually asking them to do. But the other half of it is going to be generalizing the behavior in context. So now I'm at the point where I'm doing hikes, one-on-one hikes with the people that came to class, and we're working on it in context again, because we have to generalize that. And it's a difficult thing to do, but that's what has to be done. We have to get out in the environment and actually work on it where it's actually going to be useful. And I think 50% is a lot. You know, we think like, oh, once a dog knows something, like we're good. It's like, no. The generalization part is such a huge part of that equation. So, and the same is true if you're just trying to get your dog to recall to you off the leash.
I mean, that's why we go to different facilities too. And I always end up going to the facilities a little bit more right before I trial, which isn't necessarily good, but I just haven't found time to, you know, like sometimes some of our places, what is it, Silver City? On Fridays they have training. So, I mean, I should get in there and start doing it, but I haven't felt ready for utility. Though my articles are going very well.
I've been teaching Raven the articles too. It's going swimmingly.
It took forever. It did. It took a long time for Buddha to work the pile and not go in there like a battering ram.
Yeah. Can you explain a little bit about the articles and what they are for the listeners?
The articles are small dumbbells. That's what they look like.
They are, yeah.
They're made of wood, metal, and leather pieces. They're, you know, striped and solid. Were there 6 of them? 2 of each? 12 altogether?
There's 2, so you can pick, there's 3 materials. There's wood, leather, and metal.
I don't pick metal because there's no way Buddha would. I knew he would do better with
leather and wood.
Right. So, 1 striped, 1 solid. You have 12 articles in all. The judge will pull, you know, say number 5, which is the one I keep practicing with. 5 solid, 5 stripe. Put the other ones out in a circle. Was it like 4 inches apart? And you stand with your dog not facing the pile and you scent it. You just rub the dumbbell in between your hands, which you can't see, but I am doing. See? Hear that? And the steward will take it and just, you know, drop it in with her little salad tongs. We'll drop it in the midst of all these other articles. And your dog, you turn and send your dog, and they are to pick the one that you scented and bring it right back to front.
Imagine that.
So, started off with, you know, putting whatever. It was a long process. Anyway, he's doing very good with it. And to see him like sniff every single one of them, you know, sometimes he'll take a dumbbell that was not scented and he'll fling it, but then he gets right back to it again. And with him, I have to worry about just general stupidity or just general Buddhisms, like Buddha behavior, that happiness to like go out there and get her done. But he doesn't exactly know what he's doing. But he's so happy to participate. And I'm really going to have to practice with crowds around, because if somebody thinks he's like, haha, you know what Buddha's going to do? He's going to run over and be like, I know you're looking at me. I'm fabulous. And then he like plays to the crowd.
Yes. And one of the problems with scent discrimination is usually in the trials that I've gone to, they put the pile like right next to the ring gate that is facing the audience. So it's not like the scent discrimination pile is happening in the far corner of the ring. Yeah. It's usually right where like all the people are.
And just think of all those smells. All those smells on the floor. I mean.
And they have to pick the one that smells like you.
I know. And then, I mean, there are people that have just like so much food too ringside in their bags for their dogs.
Well, even the stewards like have snacks right there.
I know. They used to, for rally, used to kick my ass because they used to have stuffed animals for the prizes, like right underneath the table. And so that was tough.
Yeah, but the scent discrimination is really requires a dog to like slow down and think about what they're doing and use their nose really well. And it is difficult. It's hard for dogs. First of all, they have to have the drive to go pick something up that's like not moving.
Yeah, not a problem for Boo.
Yeah, not a problem for Raven either, but for some dogs that is a problem. And then think through which one is the ticket and then retrieve it back to you to front. And it's hard. It's really hard. I think that it's a nice metric, but it's also it's a tough one. So I'm working through that with Raven right now too. And she's the biggest problem that I thought I was going to have with her was getting her to slow down and like sniff around at the pile. Just generally speaking, she's just like on cocaine all the time. But
somebody should be in this house.
She's doing a fantastic job. So I'm super happy with the progress that we've been making recently.
I went to an IPO trial, just a club trial on Sunday. Not just. I went to a club trial, and the judge was really nice and rather, encouraging. It was a woman judge. I don't really see women judges, but she was very nice. Had a cowboy hat on. It worked for her. It might not work for me, work for her. And she said, just think of today as a training day without correction. And frankly, without reinforcement. But every time you trial, it's a day without correction or reinforcement. Which can be a real bitch, frankly. I mean, because if the dog doesn't do something in the ring and the show's over and you NQ, so you can't fix it.
Right.
That's why they have things called fix and go in the AKC world where you can fix that one behavior, try again. I mean, you've already NQ'd, it's over. But the judge will say, why don't you finish that exercise? This way you can complete it so your dog doesn't think, oh, it was an option. I didn't have to do that. And if it happens in the ring 1-2 times, that could be a problem because the dog could think, when I get out here, you can't reach me. You can't touch me. Da, 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 da. Then they're like partying around. You don't want that to happen. I mean, so it's nice that you have things like fix and go, or the judge says, hey, why don't you fix that behavior? Your dog gets up, you're able to walk them back, put them back. So yes, a day without, it's just a day without correction.
How was the trial?
Great. It was nice to see.
Nice dogs.
It's always inspiring, when you see everybody else go out there. Because I've been dragging my feet, just dragging them like a dead man.
Well, it takes a long time to train for everything. It's like, I think that when you see somebody trial and they do a fantastic job with their dog, the amount of training that goes into that cannot be understated. Even if you have a wonderful dog, like the amount of teaching the dog the behaviors, then proofing the behaviors one by one, then putting the behaviors together and adding variable reinforcement so the dog gets used to performing in a sequence or gets used to performing for the length of time that is your trial, whether it's 7 minutes or a half an hour.
Yeah. It's
just the amount of effort and sessions that go into training for any type of trial, but like especially the bigger things. It's the more I'm doing it with my dog and the more time we spend doing it, the more I'm just like, holy shit, like this is a lot. And I work with Raven like
every day,
a couple times a day. Yeah.
Leah's better than me. I just, frankly, I haven't been practicing. I have been loyal to my articles because it was irritating me and I was starting to feel embarrassed. It's tough when you're like a trainer and you can't get your dog to do something. I mean, it's like, why isn't this working? Have I ever taught any other dog articles? No, I taught Ripa some articles in the tracking because I used to track with her all the time. She was great, but that's not, the same. 12 articles lying on a floor and he's sniffing out the right one. I mean, she could have done all these things. I just look. I'll always say that Ripa could have done all of these things, and I think flawlessly because she loved training. She was smart as a whip. You didn't have to work hard for rip it to get something. So.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so I had to give myself some grace there because, frankly, I've never done articles before. So, yeah, I think it'll come together. Then I have to deal with his exuberance when I send him out because he loves to jump, and so he wants to jump faster than I say it. So I have to hold him there, like I'm like watching him from across the way. And if he breaks it, I have to bring him back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he has a very exuberant send out. It's funny.
He likes to jump.
Every time Buddha is like running.
And everyone laughs.
Everybody laughs.
I know.
The whole gallery,
laughs.
everybody's laughing.
They're like, watch this. Because it's pure joy. I mean, I love that he's... And then it's hard to correct him because he's having such a good time.
Right.
And I do feel bad if you have to hold on. Hold.
Yep. Yeah, it's tough. I mean, I was talking to somebody recently about Mondio Ring, and I'm hoping to get out to a trial next week just to observe and see what it's like, because I didn't really know much about it, and I've been watching YouTube videos of trials and things of this nature, and the highest level of Mondio Ring, it takes 45 minutes to get through the entire routine.
Can you imagine 45
it's like
minutes?
45 minutes of your dog like being focused the whole time and knowing what they're supposed to be doing. And also a lot of the exercises really require the dog to like think independently.
How much biting is there?
Quite a bit.
At least they get that reinforcement.
Right.
They get to bite.
Yeah. But it's just so hard. I think that's just like the hardest sport, I think. It's so intense and such a high level of training. And again, it's like a high level of training because you have to teach the dog how to do everything and then proof it and just practice the shit out of it and make sure that you're practicing exactly the right way. You know, it's like, go back to my example of the down with Raven. It's like we did a lot of reps with her of down when she was younger, but if I wasn't practicing that in exactly the right way, then I have to go and try to fix it later on. Like
that's why we have to fix it in the beginning.
Yes, it's very, very, very difficult. So
listen to Laura.
Hanging out with the right people that can train you for that specific sport because they know the ins and outs of it and they've been there before, and then being able to put it all together in your own mind. It takes a certain amount of talent just as a person to be able to pick up what somebody else is putting down, and it takes a person that can learn from other people, you know, and not everybody can do that. I think that I'm better at it than most because I took lessons like far into my adulthood with music, and I try to go at it like things with an open mind. But some of the dog owners that we see, like trying to teach them, like Laurie was saying, like say all done before you feed or when the behavior is over. Little tiny things like that for some people are just like super challenging. So I feel that on another level when I try to teach this higher level stuff, but it's just really hard no matter what way you slice it. It takes a lot of focus and concentration and self-reflection. And one of the things that I do, I know Laurie doesn't do this at all, but I videotape myself quite a bit when I'm training Raven.
Oh my God, it's constant.
Yeah.
In the morning, I'm like, can I walk by or are we videotaping? What are we doing today?
But it's good because you can see what you're doing.
I know.
It's not for Laurie.
I used to do it more, but I just can't lately. Can't. So that's what I mean about the little things. Like if you can get a sit and they don't move until you finish the behavior. If you can get a down and they don't move until you finish the behavior. If you can get a side sit, get these things now. Because everything else is so much harder if you're going for a more advanced obedience or if you're competing. Why not get these base things down? Don't say to yourself, oh, I don't care if the dog moves a little bit. No, you have to care. We have to care about things. And if the dog recalls, no, you have to care if your dog comes to you, and stop doing it if the dog isn't. You're just going to hate the dog and you're going to hate yourself.
Yes. Or the dog is just going to get used to hearing their name over and over and over again.
I think
It
the small
doesn't
things
mean anything
matter.
to them.
Yeah. I think the small things matter. So I was thinking about that quote, don't sweat the small stuff. And then I was getting irritated because I was going down a whole like train, all these thoughts because this is how I am. I was like, no, the small things do matter. You must sweat the small stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So then I looked it up and I was like, what exactly does don't sweat the small stuff mean? Because to me, small things are very important. A woman came for her class and it was not the day of her class or the time. I happened to be walking outside, doing my little chores, hanging with the dogs, and I see her car there. And I was like, uh-oh. So I checked my book. She had the wrong day and the wrong time. I go, you know what? Let's just do the class. And it was fine. Did I want to do the class? No, because I usually, like mentally prepared. Mm-hmm. This is a new person. I can't show her my personality right away. I mean, it's too much for people. So I was like, okay, here we are. I'm ready to do the class. And then later on, she sent me a gift card for coffee.
That's so nice.
She said, you know what? You didn't have to do the class. I guess I was. And when I walked up to her car, I guess I was just so excited to train. And I was like, oh. Then I just had little hearts in my eyes. And I said, why don't we do the class? Oh, eager one to train. Let's do it. But that was a small thing and it really matters. Really, little things matter. A hello, a text, texting somebody and not needing something. Those are really nice things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think if you look at any art form, the devil is in the details, right? Like the difference between like a really good painting and a not so good painting could be the exact same landscape, but if the person that painted the really good painting just paid attention to those details, that's what makes it awesome.
We must sweat the small stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, technically the saying is if it doesn't affect your life. So guess what? Dogs affect your life. Guess what? If you're going to compete or you want your dog to listen to you, you have to worry about it because it affects your life. Because if your dog's an asshole, everyone in the neighborhood's going to know. Just kidding.
Your life's going to be miserable.
Yep. So you got to sweat the small stuff in dog training. Your foundation has to be there. And structure doesn't mean that you're mean. It just...
yeah, God. I'm really glad that you said that because lately I've been really just kind of bummed when I have to... like teaching people the mechanics of the clicker, like when to click and feed. I'm just like, ugh, is this really necessary? Like... yes. Are they really going to get this? Am I just trying to like bang a square peg into a round hole here? And the answer is yes, because that's how we get consistent behaviors. Having the dog understand the marker system, understanding that there's a beginning and the end to this behavior. And even though it's just a tiny little nuance, and I think that that's where my mind is going, is that this person isn't going to understand this whole charade, why we're doing it.
The whole charade.
And I'm like, this person's just not going to understand this thing. This is so futile, blah, blah, blah. But if they can see the evidence of it, so if they can see the changed behavior or see more consistency, I think that's where we can change people's minds. Is that, or even, I don't really love doing this, but even if I bring my dog out and demonstrate for them, it can be an example of how it could look. And I'm glad we had this conversation because I've been kind of down in the dumps lately in my private lessons, worrying that I'm being too hard on people when, I'm trying to teach them just the timing of everything.
I don't think I'm hard on people.
No, you're not hard on people.
Because I'm like, hey, it's one step at a time. So today I get my hair cut from my cousin Franny, and she said, hey, can you cut Capo's nails? And I said, okay, I know, Italian Capo, whatever. And so I said, yes. I said, but you're going to have to hold the dog because I've already had an experience with this slippery bowling ball of a dog. He's half Boston Terrier and French Bulldog. And if you have ever seen a nail drama, it is those two breeds. And you can't, you got to put like a cat helmet on him. Anyway, so I said, yes, but you're going to have to hold the dog. So he starts fighting around, starts swinging.
They do. They scream like a baby too.
And Franny goes, "That's it. We don't have to do it. We don't have to do it." I said, "Franny," I said, "You're gonna listen to me." It's like,
which is funny because Franny is like a tough bitch. Like,
I know. I said, it was as if she was gonna jump off the top of a building. I said, "Franny, we're gonna do this." I said, "You're gonna listen to everything that I say, and you're gonna hold the dog just like I say." So I could tell she was looking at me in a different way too. I was like, "We're going to do this. Are you ready?" She held the dog. I said, "Press him up against the wall." She's like, "What?" I said, "Hold him." I was like, "You got one arm." I'm not, you can't see me doing it, but she's holding him just as I like people to hold a dog, with their hand just blocking that small little bowling ball head. She presses up against the wall, and I just pull one leg out at a time and get it done. And I used a Dremel because last time I cut this dog's nails,
bloodbath.
Dude, and I did not cut a lot off. And I was like, there's no way I'm doing this. So I was ready. I had the whole plan in my head. I was thinking about it since she asked me. I was like, she's going to hold the dog like this. And I said, "Franny, no matter what, do not let this dog go. Like, don't let him slip out of your arms. You can do it." And she did a great job.
That's great.
Then she said, "If you need any help with any other dog, just let me know." That's how she talks. She's like, "I'm looking for some extra side money." I said, "Your arms might fall off." She goes, "No kidding." She goes, Thank God I didn't go to the gym this morning. I would have never been able to hold them." But it went great. No blood. Yeah. Dremeled the dog's nails. And then get this. I said to her, I said, "I'm going to open the door to the porch." I go, "Walk outside with him. I'm going to close the door." Because I knew that son of a bitch is going to come right back at me.
You.
I was like, I don't have long pants on and he's going to get my ankles.
Yep.
So she did. She dropped him outside. I left the house and I heard him run back inside. "Where is that jerk?" Yeah, he's never going to like me.
Yeah, but now you can do it again. You know, you were successful.
And he'll just... And it was, once she was holding him right and she was pressed up against the wall, it's fine. It kind of helps if you're holding the dog, and it keeps the person who's holding quiet too.
Right.
Then as she was messing up the hold, she's like, "It's okay. Laurie's going to kill me. It's okay, Cub." I'm Franny, pull it together.
Oh my God. That's too
funny. Oh my
funny.
God. Thank you so much.
You can trade haircuts for nail clips.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I love her.
Yeah.
I love Franny.
It's hard when the dogs don't get their nails cut frequently enough, because then, you just take a teeny tiny little bit off and it's just like starts bleeding.
There's very few nails, but some of them you'll cut thinking that you're not close to the quick, and you are. Mm-hmm. And you remember those dogs very quickly. Mm-hmm. Sammy is one of those dogs. Happens with older dogs all the time. So you'll cut it and there'll be all this powder, this nail powder. You're like, "Oh, I'm not near the quick." Nope, you are. Mm-hmm. And with any other dog's nails, you would have been able to cut more, but older dogs, don't risk it because they never stop bleeding. Just use the Dremel, or if the dog doesn't like the sound of the Dremel, be conservative with the clip.
Yeah. You're very, very good with our dogs, and you cut our dog's nails.
Leah just watches from afar.
I'm just like, "Oh, that looks terrible."
I go back in. She's like, "How did it go?" And it's just my back's killing me, mostly because I'm bent over clipping nails.
Poor Raven, when you cut her nails,
she hates it.
Her ears are down. She has her paw out.
She doesn't fight.
She doesn't fight.
She just cries. Ruben the same. And nothing is stronger than a dog pulling their paw back when you're trying to cut their nails. It's superhuman strength. They curl it in. No. Sometimes it's just straightening it out. That's why it was so nice with today. Is just pop a leg out and Dremel it.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
No, nail clips are really important. And some dogs just have different nail beds. People don't compare yourself on social media to other people with other dogs. Like if you have a hound dog with long nails, join the club.
Ruben has long nails, and I really Dremel those.
Yeah, nail beds, and it is what it is. And people will say, "Oh, it's deforming their feet." And it's like, no, it's not. It's the way that he is, and we cut them as short as we possibly can. You just have to do the best that you can.
This is my gauge for Ruben. No clickety
Click, click,
clacking.
click, click. Yeah.
No clickety clacking. If there's no clicking, I've done my job. Buddha, you can barely see his nails. Raven,
Raven.
you can
Medium.
You can barely see the back ones.
Mm-hmm.
It's the front ones that I have most trouble with.
Yeah.
But I've been shaving them a different way to cut the quick back. I've been focusing on the top of the nail. I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos.
And Raven is less expensive nail cut because she doesn't have any dew claws.
Oh, I know. Never been so happy to have one less nail.
Yeah, so when Raven was a little puppy, her breeder took her dew claws off, which is a popular thing for old school Labrador Retriever breeders to do.
I like a good thumb.
Not always practiced these days with the youngins, but the old folk, they chop those suckers right off.
No, I've done it before. It's gross.
Yeah, I know. I go back and forth. Her ankles are really funny how she lands her paws.
Ankles?
Yeah. Like
her cankles?
Yeah.
She doesn't have cankles.
She's very strong and she's very fit, but she's very leggy. And
oh my God, same. They say that about me too.
Stop it.
She's fit. She's strong. Leggy. Do you know how funny it is when Leah gets in the car? She has to push the seat all the way back.
I have long legs.
Me?
All the way forward. Mm-hmm.
But
I can't even get in the car after she's been in there. I will hit my knees so hard.
But my rear view mirror, I can't see out of it. It's like aiming to the ground. I have to adjust the mirror. The longer torso, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Works really well.
It does. It does. Anything else you wanted to talk about tonight, Laura?
No, I'm done.
All right.
Buddha's done. Look at him.
So, in review, go one step at a time, especially if you have a younger dog. Don't be in a rush. The time is going to go by.
Trust us.
Whether you train or not. So, why not train and take your time?
These things take time.
They really do. And we are in the thick of it just alongside of you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I hope everybody had a wonderful Halloween. Thank you so much for tuning in. Again, please feel free to like, subscribe, and share the podcast with your friends. If you're listening on Apple or Spotify, it's so easy to hit the 5-star review if you're into what you are listening to. Mm-hmm. And you will hear from us next time.
Bye-bye.